Welcome to another episode of Between the 20s with me, your host, Max Raymond. I've got the great Jonathan Falco joining us, and it is officially 1 week as of time that we are pre-recording this episode on the great Thursday, April 16th. It is officially 1 week until the NFL draft. Jonathan, we're excited because the two of us plus Ben LaJoy, will be providing live broadcast coverage on WICB starting at, I believe, 7 o'clock and going all the way through the first round. Jonathan, how are we feeling? Pumped, excited? What are the thoughts?
I mean, I've got goosebumps. That's how excited I am. I get to talk NFL draft live coverage on WICB with you, our guy Ben LaJoy, for as long as the draft goes. So yeah, we're working out times right now. But if you do tune into WICB on Thursday the 23rd at 8 p.m., you'll be guaranteed to hear my voice, Max's voice, and Ben's voice. We'll see you about the 7 p.m. start time. So just tune into WICB socials and even tune into the radio station at 7 just to make sure we're not on around then. But I mean, listen, I'm so excited. I'm actually jealous of you listeners right now because when you're hearing this, it's Sunday. You're actually even closer to the draft. For us right now, it's Thursday. We still got 7 days to wait. So on Sunday, as you're listening to this right now at 8 a.m., there's there'll be 4 days left until the draft. So I'm stoked about this. I've got chills.
I'm already anxious for Wednesday night, trying to fall asleep. Oh my God. It's gonna be troublesome, but first we've got some more football to talk. We've got an alternating mock that we're gonna do, and we're just gonna simply talk NFL draft, and we're gonna keep talking until we run out of time. I mean, we can go almost as long as we want. Unfortunately, due to 50 hour this you're finding it. Obviously, you found it now. Is going to end up on the Spotify and my YouTube channel, Max's Mics. If you're listening to this, you've already found where you can find the episodes. But if somehow this does make the airways, then hello. But, we're just going to keep yapping and talking until we feel like stopping. So let's get into our alternating mock. We're going to alternate picks and see where things end up. But, of course, I'm going to go first, and I'm going to take the obvious one. There's no reason to throw any sort of curveballs because, I mean, come on. We know what's going to happen. It's Fernando Mendoza going number 1 overall to the Raiders. There's no other better decision for them. It almost feels like they've already preemptively decided he's on the team, and it feels like they're making plans already for him to be there. So, yeah, Mendoza won, and now here you go. And this is where the draft starts at number 2 with the Jets.
And just 30 seconds ago, Max, you mentioned the word curveball, and I'm going to throw one at you. This isn't my pick at 2, but this is all hypothetical at this point. This is the final mock before the draft, and with how unpredictable the draft is, I'm going to throw one that's been mocked before. This isn't a completely out of the window kind of pick here for the New York Jets, but it's not one that I've made in mock drafts. So with that being said, I am picking David Bailey to the Jets at number 2. Again, not my pick because, in my opinion, there is one player better in this draft class on the defensive side of the ball. But David Bailey is the best pass rusher in this draft. So the Jets will be, regardless, this is a home run pick for them. I mean, and now, what do you do with the Cardinals here, Max? I'm interested to see what you do. Do you go Arvell Reese or do you go something else?
David Bailey is the true bona fide number 1 edge rusher. And Jonathan, you like some other people, and we talked about this a little while ago before we got on the mics, and we're a little confused why David Bailey over Arvell Reese, because Arvell Reese, besides Jeremiah Love and Mendoza, seems to be a pretty consensus third best talent on many big boards. I believe he's number 3 on mine. He is. And so why go with David Bailey? Well, because David Bailey is the true number 1 bona fide edge rusher, and in this NFL league, number 1 most paid player on the field, it's your quarterback. Number 2, it's your edge rusher, and so that's why many will think David Bailey. But of course, I'm just going to stick to the script. Psych. I'm not going to stick to the script because we're going to have some fun and talk about possibilities. This is how chaotic this draft can get. I'm going Francis Marianoa here at 3 because truly and genuinely, the Cardinals could just randomly decide, you know what, we only drafted defensive players last year. Let's not do that this year because all of a sudden our offense kind of stinks. And we're the Cardinals. We need basically every single defensive position. there's depth at basically every single defensive position. So why not take the offensive position that I honestly think, besides running back and quarterback, it's the third thinnest, and that's the O-line. I mean, I really think, especially at the tackle spot, it's pretty thin. So this is by far the ceiling, as high as Francis Mauigoa can go. It is genuinely plausible and not out of the ballpark. Like, this isn't an outrageous pick.
No, I feel like, especially with my earlier mocks, Maui Noah has been like, oh, they guarantee at the third overall pick. He's the best offensive lineman in this draft. The tape on him is incredible to watch. But now for the Cardinals, that's kind of like a dream scenario, whether it's, okay, you can get, in my opinion, the most athletic, the best defensive player in this draft in Arvell Reese, or you go fill up a hole in the long-term, secure long-term franchise tackle in Francis Mauigoa, and you go Mauigoa there, and I like it. I do. I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with it right away, but again, Mauigoa, the ceiling's there, and I think there's more than one way that the Cardinals can attack this draft, and going offensive lineman would work for them. But now, it's back to me at number 4. And for the Titans, it's Arvell Reese or Jeremiah Love. A lot of people have been mocking Jeremiah Love to the Titans, and I like that idea. But now with Arvell Reese falling, and here's what I'm looking at for this Titans depth chart when it comes to linebacker here. Cedric Gray, Seahawks legend Cody Barton, and James Williams Sr. You know what that's telling me? That the Titans need a linebacker. They need a linebacker more than people are even thinking right now. PFF has the 5th biggest need right now. I think it's up there in the top 2. So with that being said, my draft crush goes to the Tennessee Titans at number 4. Arvell Reese out of Ohio State lands in Tennessee with Robert Saleh's defense. That's another important note. Will he get his Fred Warner in Tennessee?
No Mauigoa here for the Giants at 5. And while I had in the past mock Spencer Fano, I'm going to be upfront and genuine with this pick. And I'm going to really play to the fact that the Giants are most likely going to end up trading Dexter Lawrence. It feels like it's going that way. And while it may sadden me as somebody who owns a Dexter Lawrence jersey, you know, and wore that with a lot of pride in the oven, toaster, whatever you want to call MetLife that isn't MetLife, because not even FIFA's going to allow them to call it MetLife now. It's the New York, New Jersey Stadium.
Yeah, they did that with Seattle, too. Seattle Stadium.
Can we knock off New York? It's in Jersey. But anyways, I'm going with linebacker Sonny Styles because the New York Giants need a linebacker. They need a game wrecker. And they need a guy who's now going to help with the inside running game. And you know what? You want to know who's going to help that? A guy who just seems to love to plug the hole in Sonny Styles. He loves to run downfield and hit a guy as hard as he can. And when he gets the opportunity lined right down the middle, lined right behind the center, and that C opens up, and here comes the running back right through the middle of the line because there's not going to be really anybody there for the Giants unless they get someone in the second round, which we're going to get into towards the end of this episode. But that C's going to most likely open up, and guess who's coming? It's going to be a Sonny Styles like Madden with Avalanche activated, and he's going to truck a guy and force a fumble. So give me Sonny Styles to the Giants.
I mean, listen, this is like the Nick Eamon-Warry of this year's draft class. Sonny Styles checked all the boxes in the draft. He's one of the most athletic prospects in his entire draft class. This guy ran a 4.4 640, a 1.56 10-yard split, a 43.5-inch vert. I mean, are we serious right now? Those are all ridiculous numbers. Like this guy's got everything, all the tools. And I think when we had our last mock draft, you did say you picked Spencer Fano. I do remember that very vividly because I was thinking in my head, Sonny Styles is right there. That's a big need for the Giants with linebacker. And this time you pull the trigger and you like Sonny Styles over Fano in this one. And I am obviously going to be the one to agree with you here. The athleticism, the ceiling, the floor is even, I think, higher than it is for Spencer Fano. So I think Sonny Styles is the home run pick here. And that leaves me up with an obvious pick, in my opinion. I think this is the first pick that could be traded back, but this one, no trades here in this mock. So I'm going with what I think is the runaway pick here in Carnell Tate to the Browns at number 6. They need a receiver. Jerry Jeudy is coming off of a very bad season, probably the worst season of his entire career. And now David Njoku's off the Browns. Sure, Sanders needs some receiver, or whoever the Browns quarterback is going to be, but Carnell Tate will certainly fill that hole at wide receiver 1.
Yeah, with trades, it really feels hard because of how unpredictable the way that this draft is going to kind of fall out, I don't even I feel like the teams that were going to make trades and swap picks before the draft have already gone and done that. And I feel like at this point, it's like, all right, who could feasibly? I mean, we think of teams that could trade back. Of course, you talked about the Seahawks trading out of the first round. We could see the Cardinals potentially trade out. A lot of teams think about maybe the Cowboys trading up. But everything's going to be totally based on what happens. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a trade or two in the first round, but those trades happen during the moment that team is picking. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys are on the phone with the Commanders or the Saints or even the Titans or the Giants and maybe not the Giants because in division, but being like, hey, if insert player here, Sonny Styles, falls to you guys, we're offering you this. But if he gets picked before you guys, our trade's off the table. I wouldn't be surprised if deals like that are up for any number of teams. Yeah, that's why I'm keeping trades out of our mock because truly it feels like yes, there are teams that can move up and teams that can move down, but it's all going to be dependent on who's available.
Yeah, and I'm really looking at the Cardinals. I think you mentioned them when you came that list. I mean, the Cardinals obviously did it a couple years back. I remember reading they were set on picking Paris Johnson Jr. at 3 that year. So they were like, screw it, let's just trade back to number 6. And Houston decides to go and trade up and get Will Anderson at 3, which obviously is a better pick, and screw the Seahawks out of Will Anderson at 5. That's another conversation. But at the end of hey, listen, it worked out. We got a Super Bowl. But, I mean, listen, the Cardinals are a team to do that. And if they really like a player like a Francis Maui Noah, it's literally the exact same situation as a couple years ago. There's a possibility where Maui Noah could fall. I mean, again, if the Giants are on the same board as me, where it's like, okay, I think linebacker is a bigger possibility. Well, I think Maui Noah is the pick there if he falls to 5. But again, different conversation.
Yeah.
But if the Cardinals were to trade out, that opens up a lot of possibilities for where Maui Noah can go. So I'm really interested. This is why the draft. That's why I'm so happy we're covering this on WICB on Thursday because the live reactions are going to be insane. The unpredictability of it all is going to be ridiculous. But now you got Washington at 7.
Now I'm up with Washington, and again, let's just play around with the unpredictability. But then again, this is almost all of these picks. While they are, and we say unpredictable, surprising, they're what? 50, 40, 45% chance of happening. How about this one? Caleb Downs to the Commanders.
That's your pick?
Yeah, it's my pick.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, surprising? Sure. Is it out of this world? Absolutely not. I mean, we could genuinely see Caleb Downs go as high as, 3, maybe 4 even. He's that good. The only reason why he's going to be picked later is because he's a safety. That's it. If he played linebacker, maybe he's seen as an even higher talented guy. If he's played at literally any other position besides safety, and all of a sudden he's going from 5th on people's big boards to 3rd, 2nd, considerably 1st, it's just, he's a safety, and we could find a safety anywhere because safeties are kind of just like roamers, plug a hole. But no, this guy's going to change games. I think he could actually change the way that teams look. Him and another guy we're going to talk about later, I know we're definitely going to get to, Dylan Feineman. I think those two guys could almost be revolutionary in the way that changing the way that the safety position is played. Yeah. Could be. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but they're that athletically good that I'm not saying let me reword what I said. Maybe not change the way that it's played, but change the importance that the safety position is given is more what I mean than what I actually said.
And you didn't even mention Emmanuel McNeil-Warren at Toledo. Yeah. He's somebody that can also do that as well. And I don't hate the pick here for the Commanders. I mean, obviously, a lot of my signs are pointing to Jeremiah Love with how far he's falling right now. But the Commanders had one of the worst defenses in football last year. Their pass defense was pathetic. Their run defense was pathetic. Their entire defense was pathetic. They gave up the 5th most touchdowns in all of football last year. So, I mean, obviously, with Dan Quinn's defense, he needs some personnel when it comes to trying to build a defense around him. Because Dan Quinn was a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator and went to a Super Bowl as a head coach with Atlanta. So he sees defensive prospects very well. So this is a guy in Dan Quinn and the Commanders front office that can probably see the potential in some of these picks. And look who Dan Quinn has had over the years. I mean, somebody that comes to mind, Earl Thomas. He won a Super Bowl with a guy like Earl Thomas, and Caleb Downs has some similarities to Earl Thomas. So I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, actually, I would be shocked. That's a big lie because Jeremiah Love's right there. But this isn't a completely out of the blue move because of how valuable Caleb Downs is. But now the New Orleans Saints is an interesting one because you pick up Travis Etienne in free agency, but there are other holes on this Saints team.
They still have Kamara who can still play. I mean, let's not forget that when he's healthy and in the lineup, he still can be a game wrecker. I know his numbers are kind of slacking, but now that he doesn't have to be the number one and he can come in and on every occasion he's going to be fresh. Oh my God. Imagine you got Kamara for 15 plays, but you get him 100% for 15 plays every game. How scary is that going to be?
Yeah, and now this is what I'm looking at here for the New Orleans Saints. Quincy Riley isn't the craziest of corners in the entire world for the New Orleans Saints. He plays for the Saints right now. He winds up on the right side for the Saints. In my opinion, I like Quincy Riley as a guy as a slot corner or a rotational guy. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, at number 8, screw the Chiefs. This is what you get for taking Kenneth Walker from my team and having him as your running back. What are you going to do at corner now, Kansas City? I'm going Mansour Delane to the New Orleans Saints at number 8. It makes a lot of sense because I'm not too crazy about them necessarily reaching on a wide receiver because obviously like Mekhi Lemons there, he fits a Saints system where, okay, they lost Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks at the trade deadline and he's a speedster, or like a Jordan Tyson with all the hands, but the risk is there. I think this guy's the best cornerback in this draft. The ceiling's there. He's physical. He's everything you want out of a corner. And on a team where you're trying to rebuild a nice defense that's younger, fresher, and a lot more fun to watch, I think Mansour Delane checks all those boxes, and I love that at 8. And now it makes the Chiefs pick at 9 very interesting for you, Max.
It does, but I think that I'm going to talk through what I'm thinking while I think about this pick. What I'm thinking is it's not going to be Jeremiah Love. It can't be.
No.
I was looking at Ruben Bain, but then again, the edge rushers right now are George Karlaftis, who's great, and Felix Anudike Uzama out of Kansas State, who they took in the first round of the 2023 draft, and he's progressing half a sack in his first season, 2.5 sacks last year. So development is shown, which is good. Of course, he probably was getting a lot more snaps, so I don't think they're going to necessarily go edge. But the reason why I'm not just directly jumping on Jermod McCoy is the Chiefs need a guy that's going to go and make a difference now. Yes, is Jermod McCoy healthy? Sure. But how much do you believe in the reports that are saying that he was healthy enough to have played last year and Tennessee just didn't want to risk him getting hurt? How much are we believing these reports? I don't know. And for me, it's almost not enough, but actually it's going to be enough because I believe that Tennessee, they have really more like 2 needs, a wide receiver and a DB, and I love how deep this wide receiver class is. So I'm going to go with Jermod McCoy, and seemingly no matter almost where these guys get picked, it almost does feel like Delane and McCoy are almost going to go back-to-back. So I'm going to lock in Jermod McCoy, but Ruben Bain could go here depending on how much they love their depth. Mekhi Lemon or Jordan Tyson could go here too. If the Chiefs really don't like the other options, the way that this kind of falls with Delane getting picked early.
If this were like the actual draft, I could legitimately see Kansas City trading out of 9 and getting more draft capital. But I love this Jermod McCoy pick solely because if it's kind of like similar with what I was saying about Dan Quinn. If he sees a guy, likes a guy, I think they're gonna go and pick the guy because they're gonna take the chance on him with the injuries. They're gonna push that all aside. If Steve Spagnuolo can find a guy that he likes and can develop in his system, I was looking at some of his tape a couple of days ago just to remind myself how good Jermod McCoy is. The ceiling's there. The ceiling is the best corner in this draft, but his floor is also very low because of the injury stuff.
Yeah, we could realistically see the Cowboys doing like the 12th and like a 4th for the Chiefs at 9, jump the Dolphins to ensure that they get the best corner available in Jermod McCoy. I mean, depending on how this plays out, if Caleb Downs even falls, we could see the Cowboys doing that similar pick to go get him because of how badly they need. So, yeah, the way that this falls out, the Chiefs could trade out or they could sit and pick. You've got the Bengals now.
Yeah, I love how this draft already is almost completely different from our last draft, Max. I think just starting out with David Bailey at number 2 completely shifted this entire draft. So I love it. This is how unpredictable the draft is. This could be like the exact top 10 for all we know. But with that being said, the number 10 overall pick I think is relatively easy because it's the best defensive player available. All of the stuff going on with him right now. For the time being, again, nothing's come out officially yet, but for the potential himself, the ceiling of this man himself, and I'm talking about Ruben Bain, of course, it's there. And the Bengals, they need defense, obviously. If you're a Bengals fan, you're watching them 17 games a year, you can tell they need defense. And after they lost Trey Hendrickson, they have Shamar Stewart in year 2, and pairing him with a nice younger guy in Ruben Bain, that's a nice lethal pass rush right there for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think this is a pretty good pick if Ruben Bain Jr. is still valued as high as a top 10 pick.
Now I'm up. I've got number 11 in the Dolphins, and this one for me, it's just kind of like pick your poison. Who do you really want? Because Miami needs everyone. And when you look at this team, I think Miami's actually the best fit team for this player because they are in such a dumpster fire that there is no real pressure to do anything but not go 0-16 next year. And so because of that, I think Miami's in the perfect place to take a guy like Jordan Tyson. Because we talk about they need wide receiver. Absolutely they do. They have the worst wide receiver room. I think Jordan Tyson, healthy, is the number 1 wide receiver in this draft class. But because of the slight injury concerns, I edge Carnell Tate ahead of him.
Yep, of course.
That being said, Jordan Tyson, if you're going to draft him, and when we think about drafting Tyson, we think about teams that potentially could afford to have him as a wide receiver 3, not even really wide receiver 2, but just give him some time to grow, develop, and be able to not push him out the gate so that he doesn't risk getting injured again because he got injured, came back too soon, and then injured his other leg. Like, he got hurt because he was trying to play through an injury that he wasn't even really technically fully back from. But, like, that showcases the kind of dog mentality of, like, yeah, I'm going to go out there and do everything for my team, which is incredible. He's a great player. And let's be real again. The Dolphins need time to rebuild this team, so why not get a guy that's going to need time to prove himself? Like, he's not going to really be in any competition to really fight for a spot. He's going to have his spot locked up for the 4 years at the least, if not the 5th-year extension. So I think Jordan Tyson's just a good fit for this Dolphins team.
I think, I do disagree with this pick. And the reason for that, I just like Mekhi Lemon and a Dolphins jersey, but that's just me. But now the question is, the storyline of our draft right now, Max, there's somebody that hasn't been picked yet. And that's somebody that is number 1 on my big board, Jeremiah Love. And it doesn't really make a lot of sense for the Cowboys to draft him here at 12.
It doesn't. And my thing with Jeremiah Love, and I'm going to talk about this a lot at draft night, is he incredible? Absolutely. Is the NFL kind of starting to show that the running back position is truly important because it makes a difference? Sure. But is there really a team that is picking in this first round that desperately needs a running back? I don't feel like it. I mean, the only team close in my mind is the Commanders, but they took 2 running backs last year.
And they just picked up Rashad White, and they're really trying to figure out what their running back room even is.
I don't think there's all the teams that I would have thought needed a running back and could have taken it in the first round went out and got a new guy in the offseason. So yeah, is this kind of crazy that the number 1 guy on almost everyone's big board is falling? Sure. But also at the same time, when you think about it, is it really that crazy? I mean, not to me. I don't think it's just that bizarre that a running back that everyone loves to talk about, oh, you don't take running backs in the top 10. You don't do this with running backs. You don't take a running back in the first round. You don't pay running backs because you can go out and find a guy that can fill a hole. Sure, if you have a good enough O-line, any running back can seemingly fit into a spot. And while I think that Jeremiah Love's a guy that can elevate a team in a running game, even with a less than ideal O-line, sure, But again, I just don't think any team needs it. But yeah, the Cowboys, they need defense.
They do, and this is where I'm interested to see what your thoughts are about this pick. They need a linebacker, and they reached last year, in my opinion, like on draft night. I said this was a reach. They reached for Tyler Book.
This is who I think it is. I'm gonna love it.
It's C.J. Allen.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I knew
you
it.
love it?
I
Okay.
love it, but I'll let you start.
Yeah,
and
I
then
want to talk
on.
about this. Okay, first off, the tape's good. Second of all, it's the position of need. There's one of the biggest positions of need, and obviously defensive line, interior D-line isn't there right now. I mean, you really don't have anybody to pair with Quinnen Williams in this top 15. That makes a lot of sense for you to reach on. So C.J. Allen not only replaces Wilson, or whatever his name was. Logan Wilson. I apologize.
Logan Wilson.
Yeah.
They got from Cincinnati.
Yeah, they got from
Dead
Cincinnati,
line,
and he's already out of there. So they need a long-term linebacker, and a guy like C.J. Allen, who's coming from a prestigious college like Georgia, that just fits perfectly in a system that the Cowboys are trying to build. They need a new face of this Cowboys linebacker core, and that just screams C.J. Allen to me. I love it at 12. It make a lot of sense for Jerry's world to have C.J. Allen get picked at 12 here.
I love C.J. Allen. I mean, he's truly, yeah. Oh yeah, this is gonna be ironic and funny, but he's truly a dog.
He's a dog.
Like he's a dog. Like when you think of a dog, you think of a gritty player that's gonna fight tooth and nail for every single inch. Forget about yards. We're talking about those inches. We're talking about a guy that's gonna make a difference between first down and fourth and inches and give you a chance to get off the field. This is the kind of guy that's gonna do that. I mean, just truly, I love this pick. I had him going here at 12 in my mock 2.0. I'm going to make a final mock for draft day, but it's going to be pretty similar, if not identical, to my mock 2.0. And yeah, I had C.J. Allen going here. And I mean, I think this might actually be the only pick that is identical to the ones I made in my mock. Kind of ironic. Now I'm up 13 to the Rams. And I'm just going to stick with it. What's kind of common consensus. And I know you're not going to like this if it happens, but let's be real. This Rams team almost feels perfect. Like, is it perfection? No. But, I mean, with a salary cap league, I mean, it feels as close as almost you could really get. So, what's going to happen when you add Mekhi Lemon, and all of a sudden now, with everybody there, barring, I know, off-field antics, but with everybody there, a linebacker core, or a wide receiver core of Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, and Mekhi Lemon. Plus, again, you factor in the fact that Puka Nacua's got his off-field stuff. Devontae Adams isn't the same old guy, and he's not going to be able to play out there all the time. You got a guy like Mekhi Lemon that truly could eventually, by season end, be a bona fide wide receiver 1, being your wide receiver 3.
Yeah, and this is where I think a lot of people are starting to take, I hate to carp on this about my own team, but the JSN kind of approach, where you have two receivers in the short term. I mean, the Bucs took this approach last year when they had Evans, Godwin, and picked Emeka Egbuka in the first round last year. And this is what first off, I agree with this pick wholeheartedly. For a split second, I thought you were going to be like, okay, you're going to screw your Michigan guy in Blake Corum and go and pick Jeremiah Love and have the Kyron Williams 1-2 punch in LA. But yeah, logically.
I would never. McVay loves Blake Corum way too much. I mean, he's starting to give him so much more reps.
He had a great season this year. Yeah.
He did. He stepped up quite a lot. Now, I think Kyron Williams should be getting the ball more, but this is a conversation for a different day. But no, I think McVay loves Blake Corum to the point where I don't think Love is going here.
Yeah, and I hate to keep on saying it's like a broken record, but this is like on the other side of the ball. We're talking about defensive guys who know their talent. How about Sean McVay, one of the best offensive minds of this generation? If this guy drafts an offensive player, an offensive skill player, you've got to trust the pick. And Mekhi Lemon is perfect for this Rams offense because, as you were mentioning, Puka Nacua is going to get paid as long as the off-the-field stuff isn't like too serious in the long run. But Devontae Adams isn't going to be there forever. I mean, even though he did lead the league in touchdowns somehow last year. But again, he won't be there long-term forever. So Mekhi Lemon fits them perfectly, and having the Puka-Mekhi Lemon duo there makes total amount of sense.
It was second in Devontae. Let's not forget that was kind of trending for a little bit. It wasn't second in goal in LA. It was second in Devontae. Second down and 2 yards out, and you just throw a jump ball to Devontae Adams. That's how that happened. But yeah, so now we got the Ravens, their new uniforms, back-to-back with uniforms. Did they change?
It's like that Greg Heffley meme with it's like the traditional shirt, and it's like a brand new shirt. It's like literally no change. He ain't do nothing but step back. All those memes about the Ravens jerseys. I like them. Don't get me wrong. They're good changes. But regardless.
It's your pick, Jonathan.
My pick, yeah. I'm on the clock, a little shorter of a draft clock this year, so might as well make the pick short and sweet now from 10 to 8 minutes. I think this is a very easy, weird enough, this is a spicy take here. He's fallen so far, Max. He's fallen so far.
No
Derrick
way.
Henry isn't going to be there forever, and why not have a 1-2 punch of Derrick Henry and Jeremiah Love on the Baltimore Ravens? Because you know why? You picked Mekhi Lemon, Jordan Tyson's off the board, Carnell Tate's off the board. Wide receiver's the biggest need for the Ravens, but the next best player available, if you didn't want to go Spencer Fano at offensive line or Monroe Freeling, I like taking the jump on Jeremiah Love and working on the offensive line later for the Ravens. And why not get one of the best players in this entire draft at 14?
Wow. See, this is where I get to jump in and say I don't know, because I love Fano and I love Monroe Freeling.
So do I.
I think that there's versatility and you can move guys around in your line, or you can move Fano inside to guard. So I'm a little surprised here with that pick, but it's not totally out of this world just simply because of how good Jeremiah Love is when you get to 14, 15, and later, and you start looking at some of these teams that are like, yeah, we have needs, but we could fill them later. Holy cow, this guy fell. How did that happen? It's kind of like the Eagles with Jahad Campbell last year. Like, oh my God, who let this guy fall to us?
That's kind of what I'm thinking here. Yes, obviously the Ravens' offensive line's a big need, but you can also, again, fill it later in the draft, sign vets. When you have a generational prospect like Jeremiah Love, it's just so hard, in my opinion, to pass up on him. And again, Spencer Fano's probably the bet to fill a position of need. You can pick Fano, Freeling. At this point in the draft, the offensive line class is relatively deep for the first round. So you could have went Fano or Freeling. Or even if like Blake Miller for some reason, they could have went Blake Miller. But I mean, with that being said, I think Jeremiah Love is the best player available. And me personally, if I'm Baltimore, I'm forgetting the GM's name right now, but I'm taking this pick immediately if Jeremiah Love falls to 14 somehow.
I got the Bucs, and you talk about generational talent.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
I will truly say that there will never be another player like this guy. I will confidently say, forget generational talent. How about all-time talent, Kenyon Sadiq? Yep. In the history of the NFL Network tracking and live coverage of the Combine, no tight end has ran a sub-4.40. He ran sub-4.39 with a vertical and broad jump higher than almost everybody. What does this mean? It means he's got the intangibles. It means he's got speed. He's got agility. He's got explosiveness. He's got the physical mindset, strength, guts, and ability to pancake a defensive lineman twice his size, while also then being able to go out and get to the second level for another block, or get open on an RPO or any sort of play you want to draw up for him and catch a pass and turn it into a 50, 60-yard play. He can be an offensive tackle, or he can be a wide receiver.
He's that good.
And when you've got talent that good, again, tight end position, so not thought of as typically a higher pick, but like I have a hard time not putting him within the top 5 of my big board, because there's never going to be a guy like this again. I truly think there will never be a guy like this again, who's got, especially the way that the league is trending with guys, more science, guys getting in the weight room more, getting bigger more, tight ends getting bigger more and grittier. Like, you're either slimming down and becoming a wide receiver because, like, there are guys like Tedero and McMillan that seem to have kind of that tight end build, yet they're playing receiver, or you're basically almost a bona fide offensive lineman with just the amount of muscle mass that you have on you. And somehow this guy's a hybrid, the perfect hybrid of both, which is a tight end position. I got to stop talking, because I could literally go for an hour about how good this guy is.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the layup pick. I feel like in a lot of my mocks, I've been having Kenyon Sadiq to the Buccaneers as well. Also, C.J. Allen was another person that could go to Tampa Bay, especially with Levante David retiring. There's a couple of ways that the Buccaneers, this may not be the biggest of layup picks, but we also had C.J. Allen going a bit earlier. So I love Kenyon Sadiq here.
I want to jump in, though.
Go ahead.
Last thing.
Let's do it.
With a side note of last year, I seemingly was unable to mock any other player but one to the Bucs, and that guy was not picked there, and that was Jahad Campbell. So if that is a sign of anything, there's a chance that Kenyon Sadiq could fall to Tampa at 15, and they not pick him, and he could fall to the Eagles again, and the Eagles get him and turn it to an incredible talent. Oh, that'd be so ironic. All right, let's get to the Jets at 16. The Jets, again, they need a lot. You had them take David Bailey, so they've got the edge rusher checked off, but that secondary needs a lot of help. The team that had no interceptions last year.
I'm not going there, though.
Ooh.
I'm not going there. I'm not. And the reason for that, you know what? Maybe I will. I was thinking I'm very high for wide receiver. I'm very, very high on Omar Cooper Jr. But at the same time, is going for a guy like Avion Terrell worth the jump at 16? Those are the two guys I'm torn with here, Max. So with that,
Terrell and Cooper are two guys that are climbing my board. Just a side note. Two great talents, and Terrell was a guy that was being mocked higher in the draft. Then he kind of fell down a little bit, but he's kind of starting to linger back up as people realize that while Clemson sucked, there were a couple of guys that did it.
Yeah, Avion Terrell is one of the more unpredictable picks because I could see him getting picked here, which you know what? He's one of my biggest draft crushes on the defensive side of the ball. I have Avion Terrell going to the Jets. They need defense, but Omar Cooper Jr. is another person I could definitely see going to the Jets. I think you definitely needed to bolster up on defense. Obviously, Max, as you mentioned, Aaron Glenn's going to be fighting for his job, so why not try and give him two quality starters on the defense that desperately needs personnel, and then you got to figure out what you can do on offense in the short term with Geno Smith at the helm. But I like Avion Terrell here because, again, the unpredictability of it is he can go to 16 or he could fall to 32. Knock on wood, please. But, again.
Go ahead. Terrell could be up at 16. He could fall to 32 or even 33 to the Jets again with the number one in the second round. So it's just that's just kind of how this draft is.
I love it.
There are so many guys, especially down towards the back end, that we're going to talk about that they could go in the first round, they could go to the second round. If they're not a scheme fit for a lot of teams, they could fall to the third round, as crazy as that is to even consider. Now I'm up with the Lions at 17. I'm going Monroe Freeling. Layup. And we're trying to have a lot of fun with this and pick random picks, but like at the same time, oh God, this Lions team. I mean, I love the Cinderella story. I love rooting for a Cinderella team, but they just completely dropped the ball. They were right there, you know. They were Dan Campbell kicking a field goal instead of going for it on fourth down away from making it to the Super Bowl. And somehow they're now in a spot where, I mean, they're in a battle with the Vikings for not finishing last because of how good this NFC North has become. What I think is in contention for the best division against the AFC West. I think those two are going to be the top two divisions in the league. But, like, there's a world where Kyler Murray balls out and all four NFC North teams make the playoffs. And I honestly don't even think that's bizarre.
Yeah.
If they all win their home games against their own division, which is so likely because of how hard it is to go and play in any one of these NFC North stadiums, like it's just so the Lions, they need that offensive line help because they've got to go battle now NFC North with the Vikings, and I've got a feeling I know where this pick's going.
Yeah, and I just want to take 1 second on the Lions because this Vikings pick's going to be very quick and easy for me. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned the unpredictability. I think when it comes to my hot take of saying the Lions are going to finish last in the NFC North, I think picking Monroe Freeling here would help their case. Again, you have to absolutely nail this draft if you're a Detroit Lions, but this is an excellent start, so I love that pick, Max. We're back on the same page here. And pick 18, Max. You already know who I'm taking here. if you're listening to this right now, go on your phone, go on YouTube, go on like the Big Ten YouTube page or something, and watch like a 5-minute highlight reel on this guy. That's all you need to watch to show you how good this guy is. But even do a little bit more research if you're nerdy enough to go and do that. It's Dylan Theineman, man, out of Oregon. The safety out of Oregon. This guy screams Minnesota Viking. Harrison Smith's going to be gone. And this guy feels like the perfect replacement. He can win you games in a Brian Flores defense where secondary matters. This guy just screams Minnesota Viking. This has been like the layupist, if that's a word, of layup picks of all time. I love this fit, and I'm so excited to watch him wherever he goes, quite frankly. But I think the best fit is Minnesota. Dylan Theineman, you are a Minnesota Viking.
Now I've got the Panthers, and just thinking about what this team could do. I know they could go defensive interior, but I don't really know how much I like defensive interior here versus waiting a little bit potentially. But it's all up in the air, and when you do your mocks and when you actually go and draft as a team, not only are you looking at who can we pick now, but you've got to look ahead at who's going to be available later. And when you look at the defensive interior, Caden McDonald probably won't be there later. But you know, Caleb Banks, Peter Woods, Christian Miller, and Lee Hunter could all easily fall into the second round. Plus Grayson Halton out of Oklahoma. I mean, Rayshawn Benny, Michigan guy. He's pretty darn good. You could get him in the second or third round. But when I look at this wide receiver core, Tedero McMillan, great. Then you've got Jalen Coker.
Yeah. I think
Xavier
I know you're going with
Legette,
this.
who, Jimmy Horn Jr., which is a solid, depth guy. John Mechie the third. You want him to be your wide receiver too? I mean, again, there are a lot of guys here, and especially you look at the younger guys, Jalen Coker and Xavier Legette, who had a chance to go out and prove and earn and solidify that wide receiver 2 spot, and they didn't. And so because of that, I'm going to go wide receiver, but it's a pretty open book except for one guy, and that's Omar Cooper Jr.
Love it.
Going with him. I'm going to be honest, I almost didn't take him because it feels so odd for him to kind of fall here because I'm so into the thinking of, oh yeah, the Jets are probably going to take him at 16, if not maybe even the Ravens as high as 14 because of how good his tape is starting to come out to be. That I'm going to be real, I almost took Casey Concepcion because I forgot he was available. And then I saw him there, and I was like, yeah, it's got to be Omar Cooper Jr., though.
Yeah, for sure. And you have a nice wide receiver pairing of, Ted McMillan and Omar Cooper Jr. there in Carolina. And yeah, and that's, when it comes to the Jets, and that's what I was saying about Terrell earlier. So I like that a lot. But now it's time for the Cowboys here. And this is one that's very interesting because obviously earlier on, it was pick number 12. We had him go C.J. Allen here. So obviously linebackers filled. So now I'm going to look a bit. I think I'm going to take a little reach here. I'm interested to see what you think about this. I'm going to go Colton Hood. And the reason for that is I think the Cowboys need secondary more than people think. Because I'm going to look at this Cowboys depth chart really quick right now. And obviously your cornerback one is Deron Bland. Siobhan Ravel, was somebody you picked out of East Carolina last year, but I want somebody who can check all the boxes, can be moving literally anywhere. And for a guy with as high of a ceiling as Colton Hood, you could watch him last year. I really would love to see some cornerback depth in Dallas, and I like it there. You need defense badly, and I really want to see what they do with Siobhan Ravel because obviously he was set on the left side, but now things could be moving all around for this Dallas Cowboys secondary, and that's what makes things interesting.
Yeah, well, Ravel actually, so interestingly enough, he was a top-end talented guy, a little bit of an older guy, and he had some lingering injury concerns, and that's why he fell to the third round to Dallas. He was the third rounder, but he was a guy. He was one of those guys, though, that was thought of to be a late second or late first, even early to mid second, and then again injury kind of you get those health reports that come out, and so that's why he kind of fell. And for the sake of time, as we're starting to run low with about 15 or so minutes to go, I'm gonna kind of speed things up with the next 2 picks. I'm gonna take them. Just because it kind of feels a little obvious that they're both going to be offensive line picks.
Yep.
With the Steelers and the Chargers desperately needing O-line. So we're going to go Spencer Fano, Olaiya Vivegi Ioane, and then I'll take one more just so we make sure that you get your Seahawks. And I think this will be also another O-lineman. I'm going to go with Max Ihenacho to the Eagles. I feel like we're a pretty kind of common consensus with the Steelers and the Chargers, so that's why I just took the liberty of picking them, and I think you would agree. But then we're going to go with Ihenacho. I'm going to pick him at 23. I think that after those two, he's the next best available O-lineman.
And I would actually disagree with you when it comes to the Eagles because there's another Toledo cornerback that's already in Philly. Why not pair a safety in Emmanuel McNeil-Warren? But again, that's another discussion. And when it comes to now, this is the Cleveland Browns pick.
You'll have to stay tuned to our live coverage to hear more about that.
Yeah, so, oh, man, you're already getting me so excited about that.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
And for you folks at home listening to this right now, it's only 4 days away, so that'll be a lot of fun. So now, for the Browns here, I mean, we've already filled wide receivers. So now I'm going to look offensive line here also, and I'm going to go with Blake Miller. Because this is a guy, I've watched a bit of his tape. I've been kind of getting more impressed by the day with his tape. I'm not going to say I'm jumping him over Ihenacho. I'm not. But this is a guy where, okay, if you pick him a little late in the first round or you want to reach on him, this is a guy I don't hate you reaching on. Because the tape is there. I don't hate this pick at all for the Browns. And obviously, if it fills a big need at offensive line. So, again, don't hate it at all. But, again, this is another pick I can see him trading down from.
And I just find this shocking because Caden Proctor out of Alabama is a tackle who I'm still relatively high on in regarding and in consideration.
But can I do an undo pick here and go Caden Proctor? Because I completely forgot he was on the board.
Oh, yeah, you absolutely can undo the Blake Miller and Caden Proctor.
So only do the one. I completely forgot he was on the board. That is completely my fault.
Caden Proctor's still available on this board.
Yeah, I would have had...
PFF has Blake Miller 2 slots higher
That's why. I'm looking at the PFF board,
Ew. No, PFF, you're wrong. All right, I'm up with the Bears, and I'm going to stick to what I think is tried and true, Caden McDonald. I mean, I almost feel like if he's there, besides Mendoza at 1, that this is almost the next, like, most obvious pick with the Bears being so, like, I think they're genuinely on the brink of Super Bowl ready, and yet their run defense is bottom 5, bottom 6 that we figured out last week. Like, it's awful. Their run defense is terrible and could potentially be one of the reasons why they're not Super Bowl contenders. Like, they're playoff contenders, but I don't know if anyone's really putting money on them to win the Super Bowl that isn't in Chicago.
Yeah, I agree. I really like this pick because, the run defense is terrible. Caden McDonald being one of the best run defenders in his entire class here. But now this is up to the Bills. And obviously you land DJ Moore in the offseason. But my next question is whether or not you want to go and take a pure guard here like an Emmanuel Pregnone. So I'm torn between Pregnone right now and Casey Concepcion. But I think the Bills wide receiver core is good enough to where we don't need to take a wide receiver here at and fill a bigger need inside the interior offensive line. This is where I go Emmanuel Pregnone going to the Bills. Again, Casey Concepcion makes a lot of sense here, but I like Pregnone a little better because it fills an immediate need. You have the wide receiver 1, and if your wide receiver room is DJ Moore, Khalil Shakir, oh my goodness. Whoever the third receiver is, that is terrible. Keon Coleman. I don't know why I blanked.
Keon Coleman might not even be in Buffalo come start of the season. They might cut him, but yeah. DJ Moore, Khalil Shakir, Josh Palmer,
yeah.
Tyrell Shavers, who kind of went off. They've got Mecole Hardman Jr. there. But yeah, this is also a really deep wide receiver class. They could go and get that later on. I've got the Niners here at pick 27. This was a guy I was talking to you earlier. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not going with him. I'm going with edge, and I was thinking of Akeem Messidor, but I'm actually going to go with a guy that I do truly think is better than Akeem Messidor, and that is Keldrick Falk. I'm going to go with Keldrick Falk here because you don't know what's going on with Nick Bosa. Plus, if you just get him some help, this defense, let's be real, even if they stay healthy the whole season, it's probably not going to be what it was last year because Robert Saleh has proven that he is an incredible defensive mind. One, the fact that the Jets' defense fell off the face of the earth the second that he left. And two, the fact that 49ers defense was missing almost every single starter, or for the most part, their most meaningful starters, that being they had no Nick Bosa, no Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw was gone, Talanoa Hufanga both left, Greenlaw and Hufanga to the Broncos. So their top guys from the year prior were gone, and yet they seemingly almost had the same, if not slightly better defense that still kept them in playoff contention. So, yeah, get yourself some more defensive help. And now here's the Texans at 28.
Yeah, the Texans, I think this is also a runaway solely because of how bad the Texans offensive line performed against New England in pretty much the entire season. I'm going with this time. I ain't undoing this one, Blake Miller. You're finding yourself a home here in this first round. I like Blake Miller to Houston. But I think about the 49ers, though, I found interesting is when to pair another long-term receiver there. I was thinking you were going to go receiver there, but I don't hate the Keldrick Falk pick at all. But I thought you were going to go receiver. I like it, though, and I like Blake Miller here to Houston. And now you've got the Kansas City Chiefs.
I just really don't want to punish any of these wide receivers with going to injury hell.
That's true.
Unfortunately, and I don't want to make jokes about it because injuries are not funny, but
Right.
like the fact that this 49ers team seems to like lose every single wide receiver
It
at
is
some
sad.
point during the season, and then they just went out and signed Mike Evans, who's one of the most injury-prone receivers. It's just unfortunate. So I didn't feel like sacrificing a lamb to the gates of whatever. But now I've got the Chiefs here, and I would have gone with Colton Hood, but he's gone. But there's still another guy that I actually really like. And this is a guy that could fall out, but could rise. And while the Chiefs need some wide receiver help, because we don't know what's going on with their top two guys, especially Rashee Rice, they're both RR, or whatever. They both got weird first names.
Well, it's like Rashid and Rashid.
There
you go. We
they
got it.
yeah.
I got
Anyways,
you, my man. Don't worry about it.
Anyways, I'm going with cornerback Brandon Cisse out of South Carolina. I believe in Cisse. I do. And I know that there are a lot of guys that are mocking Chris Johnson out of San Diego State ahead of him. And I know that there are some people that think D'Angelo Pons, and there are some people that think that they desperately need a wide receiver. And Denzel Boston is great out of Washington. But I think the Chiefs genuinely need cornerback help. And why not get a speedy guy that's just going to be little fun, versatile for Steve Spagnuolo to get to play around with? I mean, come on. It's going to be like a kid on Christmas when Spagnuolo gets Cisse. He gets to be like, oh, my God, I get to do fun stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was about time when the Chiefs are going to start picking more defensive players. And now I want somebody for the Miami Dolphins here that's going to help that defensive line out a little bit more in the long term. And I like Caleb Banks here, interior D lineman out of Florida. You need a little bit of run help. I mean, they need a lot of help in Miami. Let's not make this.
They need everything.
They need a lot. But this is certainly one of those holes to fill. Pick Kenneth Grant last year, so in the long run, pairing a nice defensive line duo there.
Filthy 1-2 punch.
I like
the
it.
two of them healthy and dialed in.
And again,
Oh
we
my
already
God.
filled the receiver hole earlier in the draft.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not necessarily a worry because we took the chance on Jordan Tyson there. And why not take the chance on Caleb Banks, a guy who can pretty much do whatever Miami needs him to do. And for a brand new head coach and Jeff Hafley in Miami, why not go and get his first defensive pick as a head coach in Caleb Banks? I like it.
Absolutely, and with they need corner help, but there's plenty of that down the draft board. There's plenty of safety help. AJ Halusi out of LSU is a guy that they could go get. There's plenty of safety help down the board. And guard, I mean, second round, you could easily get yourself a guy like Chase Besantis, although the Texans might take him. But there are certainly some guards and some other players. There's some Iowa offensive linemen. Iowa, they produce great offensive linemen and tight ends. So, yeah, there's a lot that the Dolphins can do, so why not, go get Caleb Banks. Now we've got the Patriots, and I'm going to stick with offensive line because this New England team needs O-line help more than anyone else in the world. I mean, they made Drake May look like a mobile quarterback. Let's be real. Drake May is not a mobile quarterback. That's the reason why he went 3 in 24 behind Caleb Wilson and Jaden Daniels because he's not a mobile guy. But yet he looked mobile. So, yeah, let's go with Caleb Lomu here and get him some help.
All right, I like Caleb Lomu there. Both Utah guys. I think both of them are going to pan out to be solid offensive linemen in this draft. So I like it there. Again, it's another team I can see trading back, but again, that will be for draft coverage later. I find this a little crazy that Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is going to fall out of the first round here because I'm not going to pick him here at 32. Obviously, because
it could happen.
Yeah,
Like,
because the Seahawks already have safety help for their current team. What were you gonna say, Max? I kind of cut you off there.
no. You didn't. I stopped talking, and
Uh,
I'll say more after your pick.
Yeah, and my pick, I think the biggest concern for the Seahawks right now, you lose Reek Woolen, you need a cornerback. And this is somebody, I was so happy you picked Brandon Cisse. And again, I wouldn't complain if you went to Seattle, but there's a guy I like a little more, and it's D'Angelo Pons out of Indiana, man. I think this is a guy that Mike McDonald can use really well. His tape's good. He has the aggressiveness. He has the fire that the Seahawks are going to need to look to try and repeat. And for a guy that you can have for 4 years, obviously the risk is there, but the reward, my goodness, D'Angelo Pons is one of my favorite guys to watch tape on. Besides like Avion Terrell, I mean the guy is undersized. He is 5'9", but he's a guy that Mike McDonald. If Mike McDonald likes him, he's gonna make him work, and I like it here at 32.
So that's a wrap on our mock, and for the sake of time, I'm going to throw it to you, Jonathan, for your final remarks, and then I'll give mine and wrap up this show. What you think of this pretty chaotic mock?
Yeah, to say the least, compared to our first mock, like this is all over the place. We had 4 Ohio State players picked from 4 to 7 in a row, and then we had like David Bailey going number 2. Then we had was Jeremiah Love falling to 14. I mean, there was a lot in this draft. This shows you, Max, how unpredictable the draft is. There's a slim possibility that this could literally be the round 1, the round 32 draft, even though that's very unlikely. But anything could happen in the draft, and that's what makes it so fun. And it's gonna be an honor to do the WICB draft coverage with you in 4 days' time. I'm stoked.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to close this out with, let's run through a list of players, and I'd like you to count them off to make sure my counting isn't wrong. List of players that could easily be taken in the first round that didn't go this in ours. Akeem Mesidor,
Yes.
Emmanuel McNeil-Warren,
Yes.
Cassius Howell, TJ Parker, Denzel Boston, Peter Woods, Casey Concepcion, Zion Young, Ty Simpson, and Chris Johnson. I believe I just named 10 guys that we didn't pick that easily could end up in the first round.
The only one I disagree with you on is Denzel Boston, but besides that, that's 9 players.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not big on Denzel Boston. I'm not going to lie to you. I think his tape's a little overhyped in my opinion. I think there's a lot of room for him to grow. I mean, again, if he fits in the right system, I think he can pan out. I just think if he gets like into like some sort of wrong system, like I don't know, where could he possibly go that I don't know if I would like him, and let's say like a Miami. I don't think he'd pan out if the Dolphins weren't to go wide receiver early on and pick wide receiver at 30. So I think he's a guy, it will depend on the system, but right out the gate, I don't like him a lot. I'm not very high on him. But again, some teams might like the athleticism. I don't. I don't like the ceiling. I think the ceiling is a lot lower than people are making it out to be. But we'll see come a few months.
We'll see, but that's exactly it. And I mean, honestly, 2 more guys that could go in the first round. Chris Brazzell II, another receiver I'm pretty high on. R. Mason Thomas too. So I just listed 12 guys that I think, 11 guys for you, that could easily end up in this first round that didn't. That's almost half a round's worth of players that didn't make it in, and that's what makes this year's draft so incredible. So I hope we've hyped it up enough because it really does deserve it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait. Thank you, Jonathan, for coming on the show once again. I cannot wait for our coverage of the mock. That will be next week. That's right, next Thursday, the 23rd, going live. The draft starts at 8 p.m. We'll be on WICB. Until then, I hope everyone had a great day. Enjoy the Sunday and the weekend. Take care and goodbye.
4 days can't come soon enough.